morning. I'm very happy to be here celebrating the philosophy of philosopher Laozi. He is supposed to have said, "Give man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach man to fish, you feed him for life." I was thinking how we can adopt his wisdom to modern day. I think we need to figure out how to give every person on the planet a tool, educate everyone on how to use AI to enhance their capabilities, whether you're illiterate or highly educated. So, in order to understand or define what it is that we need to do, we need to have at least a clear understanding of what AI means. The word AI is full of meanings that everyone has their own definition. And when I started working on AI in 1963 with John McCarthy at Stanford, we were just at the beginning, and I had a definition which I submitted as a paper to ACM, and which was promptly rejected. And the definition is, AI is nothing more than a tool to enhance the mental capabilities of the human beings. A tool. Just like engineering enhances our physical capabilities. Can we go to the next slide? AI enhances your mental capabilities. So the question is, what are the tools that we can build? Excuse me. I should press that, right? Just like engineering enhances the physical capabilities, like crossing the rivers and the oceans and traveling faster using cars and planes, the future innovation depends on creating tools to enhance human mental capabilities. So to me, everything is about in AI is to create intelligence amplifiers. So if you take any random human being and say, what tools should they have to be able to do their job? Whatever they do in a day, can they do it in an hour? What tools must they have? That's the only definition I use for AI. Enhancing the mental capabilities of the human being. It's not about taking over the world. It's not about building robots that will kind of make human beings slaves and all kinds of other junk. I think we should simply, if you can use any definition you want, but my proposal is use a simple definition of building intelligence amplifiers. So no matter what field you're in, you need to ask what research must be done, what development has to be done, so that whatever I try to do, I can do it faster, better, cheaper. And that's what it is. And our predictions are, if we can do that, that is, if we can make every person on the planet do 10 times more work, today the global GDP is about $100 trillion. By 2040, it will become $1,000 trillion. And if that is the case, then the whole humanity will benefit from it, not just a few that will get rich. To give you an example, the Chinese economy, I came here in 1980 sometime, and I was in Beijing. the whole streets were full of bicycles, and everyone was wearing a uniform, same clothing. And within the last 40 years, you should look at the transformation. Every person in China is so much better off today than they were 40, 50 years ago. And therefore, my suggestion is, if we can use AI effectively to get to a state where we grow the global economy to $1,000 trillion, then everyone will be so much better off. There'll be no hunger, no poverty. I think, the so-called SDGs, Development Goals of United Nations, can be realized. And so what I'd now like to do is quickly take you through 3 or 4 good things that will happen, a few bad things that could happen, and we need to kind of say, what can we do about each of these things? So, for example, we now believe, with large language models and other things, you can essentially eliminate the literacy divide, illiteracy. There are about 1 billion people globally that can't read or write any language. So the question is, how can large language models help the illiterate people? So if I were doing a research project today, I was 20-year-old trying to do, I would use that as a subject and say, I'd go pick somebody in a remote village in China who is illiterate. There are not that many in China that are illiterate, about 10% or so. But if you go to places like India, close to 50% cannot read or write any language. And so if we can figure out how to build tools so that an illiterate person using these tools can be as effective as the rest of us who are educated, have been to school and so on. I believe it can be done. It will be done, not can be done. Next thing, we can eliminate the language divide. At last count, there are at least 100 languages globally that are spoken by 10 million people or more. And we cannot, at this point, speak each other's language. When I come here, I can't read or I can't speak. Right now, we have tools like Google Translate and Microsoft Translator, and I'm sure there are similar ones here, where you can point it at an image and then you get a translation. But the trick is not to have to do anything. When I look at a Chinese sign or sentence, it must immediately be translated and fed to me with no activity on my part. The fact I'm looking at a symbol should be possible. So in the future, we'll be able to read any book in any language, watch any movie, and talk to anyone, anywhere in the world, in any language. All you need is a smartphone in your pocket, the other person a smartphone in their pocket, and you speak in Telugu, and they speak in Swahili, and we can have a conversation. And it has to be, right now we can already do it, but it's not real time. To have a conversation, it must be less than real time. And that is where we need to go. And again, we need to be able to demonstrate that. The next one, we have all been through 3 years, 4 years of COVID. In the future, we don't need to have any lockdowns, because if everyone has a smart sensor watch, which measures your heart rate, temperature, oxygen level, other things, which I believe you can get for about $50 to $100 today, and in the future, we should be able to get it for even less than $10, $20. And I am suggesting United Nations and all the countries of the world should simply say, just like we build roads and water supply systems, we should give every person a smartwatch for free. And they have to just wear it. When they wear it, every minute they're measuring your full vital statistics of the life system. And that's being transmitted. Now the question is, how do we make sure of privacy? It can be anonymized and transmitted, and so that the data is available, but is not being misused. Now, however, supposing I am starting a COVID, I'm just about to, my temperature is just going up slightly, and my oxygen level. How do I find out? It turns out it's easy enough in these days to simply broadcast saying, if you have this handle, you may be going in for virus, so you better quarantine yourself. And then your smartphone, your smartwatch, will detect it and give you the advice. So without losing any privacy and security, you can actually share the data. And can you imagine every person on the planet having one of these smartwatches? Then we will know before anything bad happens, what is going to happen to every person, and give them proper advice. And so I think the opportunities are huge. There are many more things I won't go into, but will lead to, this is the United Nations SDG, eliminate poverty and hunger. That will happen because we will go up to $1,000 trillion GDP. So, this is all good, but there are lots of problems. And the problems have caused everyone to get very worried, and then get regulations, and prime minister and presidents are having conferences and meetings and saying, how do we control AI? You don't have to control AI. I don't know if you remember, 100 years ago, when automotive technology was invented, there were no driver's licenses. It only happened after 5, 10 years when there were a few accidents. He said, you can't let people just drive any old way. You have to get a driver's license. And so there were regulations introduced. And so right now, globally, automotive technology causes 1 million deaths a year. In countries like the United States, it's like 40,000. I believe in China and places like India, it's close to 200,000 deaths every year. So if somebody had said in 1920, this technology is going to be killer technology, 1 million people will die, we shouldn't do anything. Can you imagine taking away the cars today from the roads? You cannot. So same is true with AI. There are lots of bad things that can happen, but they have to be controlled. They can be controlled. Excuse me. So first thing is job losses. This is a societal issue. We can come up with unemployment insurance kinds of solutions, especially if there's a lot of wealth being created. Some of the wealth can be used to provide what is called UBI, Universal Basic Income. And so I'll go into each of them because I don't have the time. This is the most dangerous thing, malicious deep fakes. We can make I can make a video sound, and make you sound, to do the same video, but except it'll sound so stupid. And I believe this is something regulation should make a very strict, if you're caught generating one of these deep fakes that are malicious, if they're, sometimes satire is also can be used for these, then there should be severe punishment. like murder. And one of the things you can do, killer weapons, that's another one of these very dangerous phrases. The AI can be used to create killer weapons, like the drones and so on. However, it can also be used to create humane weapons. There's absolutely no reason why a missile should go hit a hospital or a school. We can build intelligent detection systems into the thing so that if the weapon is going to hit a school or a hospital, it defuses itself and goes and maybe falls in some safe location. There are lots of things that we can be done. So we can use AI for good as well as for evil. There are lots of other hazards. I won't go into them. They're all important. And the most important one you want to kind of think about is there have been some people like Elon Musk and others have said, oh, we're going to become slaves of AI, and the humanity will cease to exist. It's an existential threat. That's complete nonsense. It'll never happen. The reason is, it's like, and we cannot also go around saying this is because this might happen, we can't use AI. And I believe in the future we will be able to provide appropriate safeguards. Namely, let me give you several examples. An asteroid can hit the planet, and we can all have existential threat. And the kind of permanent, irreversible collapse of human civilization. It may take 1,000,000 years, and we can't stop living. Like, for example, I might say, if you get on a plane, you'll crash and you'll die. So you can't stop flying. The same is true for all kinds of very rare, unlikely events. And they will happen. If they happen, you're unlucky enough to be in the middle of a terrorist attack. You might die, but most of the time, because of that, we can't stop. And the same is true for AI. We have to do that. So to complete, as summary, AI will have a profound impact on society and will help to enhance the quality of life for everyone on the planet. But it will only happen if we develop the tools for every person so that they can be more effective and do a day's work in an hour. How will that happen? Who is going to do it? And that's where Laozi's statement saying we have to kind of say, rather than saying, give man a fish, you feed him for a day, you say, teach man AI tools from primary education onwards, so that they can lead a more productive, effective lives. That's all, basically. It's the same philosophy. I think for that we need, number one, development of the tools for every human endeavor. Number two, educating children from the primary school on how to effectively use AI tools. Thank you very much. Perfect. I did it in time.